Hi there. I'm just making this video for you guys, especially just to let everyone know, especially within the UK, why I think BMW as a brand is shit. I'll explain my personal experience with them over the past few years, and obviously I'll let you guys make your mind up as you go along. So again, my personal experience purely of the dealer network within the UK and how to avoid a shit experience. Right, so bit about me. I'm essentially in my 30s, professional, living within London. One thing about me is that I love my cars, especially BMWs. And I remember when I started with my initial BMW, which was a 330 CD in 2007, very, very talky, bought this privately, not through a BMW dealer. Had to sell it sadly because of me being unable to afford the maintenance of the car at that time. So that went, but you know, while I had it, no problems with the car itself, just had to do some brake pads occasionally, and that was it. A few cars later, I bought a 320D, which is a 2008 registration car. I actually got this one, my first ever car, from a BMW dealer in 2014 in November, and it was a Cooper BMW dealer within the Croydon area. Not a bad car, drove it, liked it at the beginning, and things supposedly were supposed to go quite well with the ownership, because you know, these are supposed to be reliable cars apparently, and it had only done about 49,000 miles when I bought it, and that's not much for a diesel, as we know. Now, I owned the car for 4 months, and the problems which I encountered, I'm going to list them for you. The turbo actuator failed within 2 weeks. I was at a roundabout, it just gave out, I had no power, or very limited power, and almost got hit by a car, and that was sort of sorted out. Suspension issues with the front anti-roll bars and the rear left coil, that caused me some issues, loads of noises and bangs when I was driving around, and they managed to fit that. The one problem with modern diesels is the DPFs, the diesel particulate filters. Now, as you apparently, you know, if it's not been driven according to how it should be driven, a diesel, then the filters can clog up. It's all rubbish to do with emissions and whatnot. And when I had this issue, I had sluggish acceleration. Again, within the first 3 or 4 weeks of owning the car, it went back to Cooper Croydon. They literally just drove it for 60 odd miles, and they said, here's your car back. Total waste of time. But you know, they should have really checked this before they sold me the car. The electric window switch failed, and while it was actually in for repair for this, the door lock actuators failed, and they couldn't actually open the car in the dealership, so they had to go in through the windows. I had a clutch judder, which is again quite a common problem with these diesels. Loads of back and forth in terms of emails. Initially I was told I was going to have to pay £2,000. Then they said, okay, we'll do the clutch and the flywheel under the warranty, the used car warranty that they give you. So I was very happy. They almost won me back. Went back to collect the car after making sure it was ready to be collected, only to be told that it had only had the clutch done. I was very, very angry. Spent a Friday afternoon, about 2 or 3 hours with them, and it was a complete waste of time. Didn't get anywhere with their management. I literally just walked out. Got an email later from BMW UK that they finally agreed to replace both, which they should have done firstly in the first place, and secondly, they shouldn't really have argued about not doing it when they'd agreed to do it. The front brakes, when they sold me the car, they said, you know, everything's done, we do the 120 point check or whatever the shit check they do, which is complete bollocks if I'm honest. I had problems with the brakes, they were not strong enough, or you know, problematic in stopping, and they just took ages and ages to stop. Took it back to the dealer, who said, oh, actually, you know, they shouldn't have been sold to you like this, and you know, they're much below minimum standard. So again, not a really big fan of BMW dealership. I thought, you know, maybe this is a one-off bad experience. I got rid of the BMW, the 320 diesel, and finally got my dream car, which was a 2005 e46 M3 convertible with the hardtop. And you know, I actually managed to get this from the Cooper BMW Norwich dealership. They sent me a video of the car, and I paid a little deposit on the phone because I didn't want it to go, and I made my way to Norwich the following weekend from using the train from London, and got there expecting a clean and tidy car. However, greeted by rude staff when I told them there was some stone chips on the bonnet, which they hadn't informed me about in the video or on the phone. There was some horrible rusting on the wing mirrors, which they again hadn't informed me of, and some loose stitching on the seats, which conveniently hadn't informed me of. I asked them to reduce the price because this is not how BMW should be sold, especially from a main dealer network. That is my gripe. Main dealer network should be, well, you think should be a bit above the normal network of car dealers. Basically, I went all the way there. It was quite late, and they essentially just said, you know, here's the car. If you want it, take it as it is. Otherwise, we'll, you know, fix those issues that you've mentioned. And we were planning to put it up for 2,000 more than the car is worth anyway. So essentially a bullshit trip. And I was stuck in Norwich, no trains back on the same day. So I literally had no means of transport unless I bought another second-hand car from somewhere else and drove it down into London. So I ended up buying the car because, you know, I thought to myself, minor things, stone chips fine, wing mirrors, maybe get them sorted myself. But the point is, they shouldn't have sold me this car like in the condition they did. So initially, great car, loved driving it, and then issues. The service history. There was no stamp in the service book for the running in service when I'd been told that the services had been done. And you know, the 1,200 mile service for an e46 M3 is absolutely crucial. Then I told this to Cooper BMW Norwich, and they said they had it, the service was done but just not stamped. And I remember them saying at the point of sale everything would be stamped by them, and then essentially it would be given to me. But after the sale, they basically didn't give a shit. They said, you know, fuck off, do it yourself. And I did manage to do this, but it took a whole day on the phone to the corresponding dealer. Not them, it was the person who bought the car from, I think, somewhere in Rybrook somewhere. So I got the stamp done. And then the rest of the services I was quite shocked by. Their own schedule says cars like the M3 with their engines are very high maintenance engines and driven sometimes quite hard, and they need to have an oil service every 15,000 miles or every 2 years. This is what they say, and this is what the service book I got looked like. So the PDI was done, obviously that was just a pre-delivery inspection. The running in service, which I actually got stamped, and then in the same year it had an oil service and a microfilter. That's fine. So that was in December 2005. And then next service 2007, fine, 2 years. Inspection 1 involves an oil service, and the next service from 2007 wasn't until 2011. Granted, it's not done many miles, but I mean, you know, that's horrendous. 4 years, and it doesn't stop there. So 2011 onwards, the next service again, a 4-year gap. 2015. This is just around the time I actually bought the car. It's absolutely terrible, and you know, this is incomplete even by BMW standards. So why were they actually retailing me this car when it's incomplete? Yeah, I mean, partly I could say that this is, I should have walked away, but if I hadn't been stranded, perhaps I would have actually considered it. And bottom line, I did trust the dealer network, and they let me down hugely. So they should really be selling a car which meets their standards, and if their standards are met by that sort of quality and sort of history, then the standards are much lower. And yep, as if the service gap wasn't enough, it wasn't the end of it. 2 weeks after the purchase, the alloys started to peel off. Now, these are diamond cut alloys. They need to be looked after very carefully. All M cars have diamond cut alloys, and I'll just show you some photos of those now. So you can see the peeling, which has been, essentially the wheels have been refurbished very cheaply, and not by a diamond cut specialist. They've just been powder coated or whatever the shit they do. It's absolutely horrible, absolutely horrible. And you know, this happened literally 2 weeks after I bought the car, and the wing mirrors, the rusting, that was just the last straw. So, the TV function wouldn't work on the dash unit. They emailed them about this, and they said, so emailed them about everything, and they said the alloys were actually refurbished on the cheap, and I was very pissed off about that. And then I told them about the TV and the wing mirrors. They basically said, "Go away." They didn't help. They didn't want to know. It was as if the sale had been done and I no longer existed within the universe. And then I contacted BMW UK, who also refused to help at all. So that was very, very annoying. They just kind of said, you deal with the franchise, it's not our problem, even though it is part of their dealership network. And if their warranty is nationwide, why can't the sense of responsibility be nationwide as well? So totally fed up. Loads of conversations on the phone, via email, and the outcome, they kind of said the digital switchover meant the TV wouldn't work. I was not told this at the time of sale. In fact, I was lied to and told that the car TV unit just needed tuning, and that was by the sales lady at BMW in Cooper Norwich. And in the description, even when they actually sold me the car online on their used car website, it says that the TV unit should be working. TV function, it specifies that. So they lied in writing. The alloys, let's see if they were helpful in that. Of course not. They told me they couldn't help in any way. They couldn't replace it. They wouldn't even pay for repairing the diamond cut alloys. And I found out the cost of replacement through them would be £2,500. So I wasn't very happy. Now, in the end, I just want to say that I had to sell my dream car 4 months after I owned it, and I'd only done 1,000 miles in it, and they weren't very hard miles either. So quite disappointed with that, and it's tainted me to buy a BMW ever again, if I'm honest, and certainly never ever through a BMW main dealer. The whole dealership network is appalling, particularly in my experience, Cooper, BMW Croydon and Norwich, and also BMW Head Office UK, not very helpful at all either. My personal advice to you guys would be to avoid the BMW network altogether. Buy your cars from an independent private person. You're probably better off. You probably save about £1,800 on average, to be fair, if you buy a sort of car from a private person, and you can just have that to hand if something goes wrong with it, or just get a mechanic to check it before you buy it. But seriously, just avoid the BMW main dealer network. I would never ever recommend that. And also reliability wise, I would say the E90, pre-E90, which I think came around 2005 or 6, the cars before that, e46s particularly, are better. The newer cars are cheap and unreliable, and some of them don't even outlast their warranty, which is 3 years. So I would be very wary of BMW overall. Thanks for listening, and I hope you found this very, very useful. And if this video can help even one more person out there to avoid an experience like I've had, then I'd be very, very happy. So thank you very much for listening, and best of luck. Oh yeah, sorry, this is just my final slide. Alright, thank you very much for listening. Bye bye.